Edition here on 3FM 92.7. Coming up on this evening's bulletin, NPP National Council gives green light for constituency executive elections to be conducted across 17 out of 18 constituencies in the northern region. Savalugu has been put on hold until further notice. Meanwhile, delegates in troubled Fomena constituency are to choose executives today amid tight security presence. There we have details for you. Also, government agrees to begin payment of neutrality allowance from October this year following agitation by the Civil and Local Government Staff Association of Ghana.
The indication is that government is committed to it, government is working on the letter. That's October. So there's nothing that's going to be paid in May. No, the February payment is being suspended and that government had agreed with CLOSAC and CLOSAC has accepted that in October.
But will CLOSAC call off their industrial action, and what happens to similar demands by other labor groups? Answers shortly. Later on, management of Student Loan Trust Fund set to commence negotiations with students affected by the Kwame Nkrumah University deferment process. We have details of these stories and a lot more here on Hot Edition, the hottest 30 minutes on your radio. Stay with us. A pleasure that you could be a part of this evening's bulletin. I am Eric Mawina Egbeta. Let's begin. And the National Council of the governing New Patriotic Party has given the go-ahead for the conduct of election for constituency executives in 17 out of 18 constituencies in the northern region to begin on Thursday, April 28. That of Savalugu has been put on hold until further notice. It is not clear what may have led to the suspension of polls in Savalugu, but there has been tension within the party in the constituency due to disagreement over the compilation of a voter album. Northern Regional Correspondent Christopher Marku has been following this development. He joins us on phone with some details. Christopher, do we have an understanding as to what is causing the disagreement over this voter album in the Savalugu constituency?
Yes, so Maureen, when the National Executive Committee of the ruling New Patriotic Party opened nominations for post-station executive, that of Savalugu could not take place because there was some misunderstanding among party members on the compilation of the new voters to register. So this resulted in the Regional Executive Committee taking the matter up and taking it as far as the national level. So the National Council of the EP came in and suspended all activities, party activities in the Savalugu constituency until further notice. So as we speak, the Savalugu constituency does not even have a voter register at the polling station level that will allow them to hold April 28th constituency delegates congress. So they are not part of the elections that will be commencing on April 28th. So as we speak, only 17 out of the 18 constituencies will be conducting their elections come Thursday.
And what has been the reaction of party members in the Savalugu constituency to this directive from the party?
Yes, so there is a peculiar problem in the constituency. You remember in the 2020 elections, the then incumbent member of parliament lost the seat, and this resulted in some confusion in the party, and some new polling stations were created ahead of the 2020 general election. So these new polling stations, there are challenges as to getting the delegates who will actually man this polling station. So it has become a very big challenge, coupled with other internal matters. So as we speak, the party members are pissed because they would have loved to be part of this process, but due to this unresolved internal issues, they are unable to join the other constituencies to take part in the forthcoming elections. So they are worried that the processes will delay in their constituency. Remember, immediately after the constituency elections, they will go for regional elections, then they will now begin processes to electing their parliamentary candidates. And that is a worry to them because, according to them, time is not on their side to go through all these processes. So they are not happy, but according to regional executives, that is the only way to resolve some of the issues in the Savulugu constituency.
Right then, many thanks, Chris, for those details. He's our correspondent in the northern region, Christopher Marco, providing details of the situation in Savulugu and what party members there have been saying. Shortly, we'll get on the phone and speak to Mohammed Sharif Ibrahim. He is the NPP Regional Director of Communications for the northern region, for some more preparedness of the party for the regional elections, and not the regional elections, constituency elections rather, the preparations of the party for the constituency elections and what they are doing to avert some of the confusion that was witnessed in many parts during polling station elections across the country. The northern region has not been exempt. They have had their fair share, reason for which Savulugu has been suspended for now. Let's get on the phone lines now. Mohammed Sharif Ibrahim, he's the Regional Director of Communications for the governing New Patriotic Party in the northern region. Many thanks, Mohammed Sharif, for speaking to us this evening here on Hot Edition. How prepared is the party for the upcoming constituency executive elections, to start off with, and then we'll come to the issues of Savulugu?
Good evening to you, Mauna, and good evening to our listeners. In the northern region, we are conducting the elections in 17 constituencies. Even though the National Council has given us a number of days, between the 28th of this month and the 2nd of May, to conduct the elections, we as the Regional Executive Committee have decided that we want to conduct the 17 constituency elections on the same day. So we have issued out a statement today that tentatively on the 28th of this month, on Thursday, we are conducting the elections at the various constituencies. We have already opened the nominations. Interested parties have picked forms. Veterans have closed. And as we speak, balloting has been done. And all that we are doing now is preparing. One, the committees are going to determine the venues for the elections, and the Electoral Commission will be responsible for the printing of the ballots and setting the basic rules that will govern the day's election. And then the municipal chief executives, who are the leaders or the heads of districts at the various municipalities, metropolis, and districts, will be in charge of the security. The security has already been written to, and then preparations are underway. By Wednesday, we should be fully, completely ready for the elections on Thursday.
And so on Thursday, all 17 constituencies will hold their elections to go at different venues, and that will be done?
Yes, that is what we have on the table for now. That all the 17 constituencies in the northern region are going to have the elections on Thursday, barring any unforeseen events on Thursday, yes.
Let's talk about Savulugu now. It's on hold because of misunderstandings over the compilation of the voter album. I mean, obviously this has come to the attention of the regional party, for which reason it has been suspended. But do you have an understanding as to why there isn't general grounds as to how to proceed?
Well, it is inaccurate to say that the elections in the Savulugu constituency is on hold because of disagreements on how to form an album. What it is that sometime in January, I think that was on the 27th of January, the National Council of the party took a decision to open nominations for the purposes of reorganization of the party from the polling station level to the national level. Now, what it is that on that particular date, owing to a number of issues affecting various constituencies that are still being discussed at the National Steering Committee level, the National Council decided that 8 constituencies across the country, and in the specific case of the northern region, we have only Savulugu included, but 8 constituencies across the country were going to have their reorganization elections on hold. So what it means is that in all of the 8 constituencies, from the polling station, the electoral area coordinators, the constituency executive committee elections are going to be put on hold until the matters affecting those constituencies are resolved and the steering committee takes a decision on that and then the National Council will issue a further directive on conducting the elections there. So the elections in Savulugu is on hold, not because there are disagreements relative to the preparation or compilation of an album, but clearly because there's an issue that is being discussed, but that is being considered at the level of the steering committee. The only unfortunate thing is that we are not allowed to have a public discussion of the reasons why that election is on hold.
Well, listeners will be really interested because 8 constituencies nationwide, and one happens to be in your region, and for which reason there isn't an elections there. People will be curious as to what exactly is the challenge which has persisted. You've had your polling station elections, and it appears you can't make grounds on just Savulugu.
No, even in Savulugu, we did not have the polling station elections. We did not have the elections.
Yes, that didn't happen. And so I'm saying people will be interested as to what is causing that delay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. As part of the directive issued by the National Council, we were restrained from making commentary on the reasons why those elections are not being held. For the benefit of your listeners, I may have to just give you a list of the 8 constituencies, and you can do your checks. If in those constituencies the situation is different from what is happening in Savulugu. We have the Boku Central, Asin North, German South, Fomena, Jomoro, Ichima South, Akwetia, and Savulugu.
When you say it's those 7 others are different from Savulugu, what exactly do you mean?
Exactly. So the point I make is that if there is a freeze of the elections in a particular constituency by the National Council, it can only take the National Council's directive again for us to get into the constituency to have the reorganization or the election at the various levels taking place. But at this material moment in time, the Regional Executive Committee does not have the locus to go into Savulugu and conduct elections. That is why that election is on hold, not because we have difficulty doing it. In fact, at any material moment in time that the steering committee and the National Council are fully satisfied that the conditions are right and good enough for us to conduct elections in Savulugu, we as Regional Executive Committee stand fully ready to do that and prepare the album and then conduct the constituency executive elections.
So as it stands, you don't have an idea when issues relating to Savulugu can come to an end for the elections to be conducted there?
Well, for now, I'm not privy to the level of the extent to which the steering committee has gone relative to the resolution of whatever matters it is that is before then. For us to know when we will most likely conduct elections. What I am thinking is that at the end of the processes that we are engaged in, by the 2nd of May, when the term of office of all constituency executives will have expired, I think that maybe the National Council will have to do one of 2 things. Either to appoint an IMC, an interim management committee for the Savulugu constituency, to oversee the affairs of the constituency pending the elections at the subsequent date, or the National Council can take a decision to, in the interim, extend the tenure of the current executives pending the conduct of elections at a future date.
Right then. Many thanks for speaking to us this evening.
Thank you very much, my brother.
That's Mohammed Sharif Ibrahim. He's the NPP Regional Director of Communications, speaking to us on constituency elections across the region. Away from the north, let's drop down to the middle belt, because in the Ashanti region, where party delegates are casting their ballot to choose constituency executives for Fomena, that's where we're going next. And the Fomena constituency has been under the spotlight following agitations over alleged underhand dealings and breaches of the party's constitution in the lead-up to this particular elections. Regional Bureau Chief William Evans Nkum has been monitoring voting there and joins us via phone. Evans, the elections were originally slated for Thursday, April 28. What has changed and it's now happening?
Well, so for Fomena constituency, the polling station election was conducted today amidst tight security. Let me just make a clarification on the 28th April. That one is supposed. That one is for the Offensive South constituency.
Right.
But originally, the plan was that they were supposed to have that particular election conducted on 1st of May. But the MCE for that particular constituency, who happens to be a member of the election committee, is delayed. That is why they are having theirs earlier than the 1st of May, which is supposed to be meant for the other constituency, with the exception of Pomina. Because Pomina just had its polling station elections. The electoral area coordinated election will be done on the 29th of April. That is this coming Friday. Then a day for their constituency election voting will be communicated later. Then another date for the conduction of their constituency election will also come. That is what I'm getting from the executive as far as that particular constituency is concerned. But when I can tell you that today's exercise was done under higher security as far as that particular place is concerned. Well, the aggrieved members of the party are still insisting that the exercise was unconstitutional because on Friday, when they were persuaded to take forms, it was agreed, according to them, it was agreed that they will have ample time for them to fill the forms and then submit them, only to hear that election was conducted today. So to them, they don't know who stood for what position as far as that particular constituency is concerned. And it also kind of heightens their perception that, speculation that perhaps the executives of the party are trying everything possible to sell the party to the followers of the independent candidate who happens to be a former member of the party and the second deputy speaker in parliament, Angie Esiama Mawina.
And so what? There are still party members who are not happy with the process that is currently ongoing despite voting going ahead. Some still feel aggrieved. How is the party seeking to resolve all of this?
Well, to the man who was assigned to ensure that this particular process goes through, I'm talking about the CEO of the EPA and former lawmaker of the Bantaba constituency, Henry Babnakokofu, he thinks that nothing untoward was done. Everything that was witnessed today, or the process that was, the election that was conducted today, went through, was undertaken, illegally. So the concerns of these aggrieved members of the party doesn't hold any water.
Right then, William Avansinkum is my colleague in the Ashanti region, providing us details of ongoing polling station elections in the Fomena constituency. We'll drop down to the western region because there's been development there as well, also on the front of the governing New Patriotic Party. But while we wait to do that, there's some news coming in about a fire outbreak. My colleague Armstrong Gold Alogbe is there for us. We'll be connecting with him shortly for some details with regards to this fire incident we're hearing about. But in the western region as well, where the elections for the Shama constituency has also been temporarily suspended, some aggrieved members of the party have sued some members of the Shama election committee for acting contrary to the constitution of the party. The party is therefore waiting on the outcome of the court case before it proceeds with the constituency elections in Shama. We'll hear from Abdul Ganiyu Mohammed. He's a Western Regional Organizer for the NPP pretty shortly. But there's been a fire outbreak at Opera Square Shopping Center here in Accra. Personnel of the National Fire Service are still trying to bring the fire under control, which has engulfed the Opera Square Shopping Center. According to eyewitness, the fire started at around 4 p.m. Armstrong Gold Alogbe is my colleague. He joins us on phone. Armstrong, what can you report from where you are?
So currently here at the Opera Shopping Center, directly opposite is the Melcom. Melcom here has been engulfed by fire, and as I speak to you right now, the fire service personnel are trying their best to douse the fire. Unfortunately, the scene here is not a good one. Almost all the pipe holes that the personnel have brought here, it's leaking. There is no pressure for the water to go as high as possible to douse the fire, Mauna.
And what have eyewitnesses been saying? When did the fire start?
The fire, they said, started around 4 p.m. about, and they called the fire service station that is not too far from where the incident occurred, that is somewhere within the Mokola area. And according to them, it's something that is difficult to believe. But according to them, they tried calling the fire service personnel, but nobody was picking the call, which led to them to start pouring their own water, something that actually escalated the entire fire. And as I speak to you now, the entire building, the building, or 3-story building, has been caught by the fire, and it is spreading beyond the building that started the fire.
And do we know which shop started this fire? What have the eyewitnesses been saying, and what was contained in the shop where the fire started?
So it's more or less like warehouse and places where electrical appliances are being stored. I can also see there's a Bank of Africa branch in there, and and then I can see GT Bank also, and the fire is actually spreading towards the GT Bank. It's also in the same building, but the fire is not towards that, and that's the exact place the fire services that are trying to control the fire, preventing it from escalating to the GT Bank area. And then also I can see some phone shops over here. It's a whole building that has been raised by this fire.
So an entire building appears to be suffering from this inferno, and you say the fire service are still struggling to be able to douse the flame. But what about security presence there?
Are struggling, and what I have seen with my own eye, nobody tells me that, is the fact that the pipe holes, the holes in which they transfer the water through, they are all old. And anytime they start the machine, the water goes down instead of going up. And this is what the people here are shouting, saying the machine got and needs to be changed.
Right, then. Armstrong Goldalogbe is my colleague reporting from the Opera Square, where shops there have been attacked, or not attacked, but they've been engulfed in flames, and he's bringing us details of that rather unfortunate incidents, but maintains that personnel from the National Fire Service are still trying their luck to bring the fire under control. Let's do one more story, one of our top stories this evening, where government has agreed to begin payment of the 20% neutrality allowance to members of the Civil and Local Government Staff Association of Ghana after the abandoned work over the stipend. Dr. Nana Atuatha, he is the head of the local government services. He's been speaking to 3FM, where he's revealed, amongst other things, that a committee has been set up to change the nomenclature of the allowance.
Both parties, government and CLOSAG, have shown a very good faith as far as this is concerned.
Right.
Government was very transparent. In Chinese, called Tomindu. That is the level of transparency from the government side was quite high, in the sense that government was plain to CLOSAG that, look, we signed an MOU with you that we're going to have some level of allowance for the civil servants and local government service staff.
Right.
Beginning February. But looking at the challenges that we're facing, we find it difficult to start the implementation in February.
Right.
So we are pleading with you, CLOSAG. We can only implement that allowance that we say we're going to give to you. Forget about the terminology that we called it, because today that terminology, that nomenclature doesn't sit well with us as government. So let's have a meeting, a team, to look at how it's going to be called. However, that allowance will give to you effective the last quarter of the year, from October.
Right.
CLOSAG accepted the offer. That was last Friday when you met us at the Ministry of Employment and Labor Relations. These engagements were chaired by the Minister of Employment and Labor Relations. And so what happened was then that the ministry was going to write to the Ministry of Finance the decisions that both parties, agreed upon, and that the Ministry of Finance will then communicate based on the communication from the Ministry of Employment and Labour Relations to controller.
Right.
And
that's Dr. Nana Tuatha. He is the head of the local government services, speaking to 3FM. Time now for the latest in the world of business. Nancy Vukani is joining with the very latest. Nancy, what's in business?
Right, Marina. So quickly moving over to Treasury bills and government securities. Government missed out on over 3.3 billion cedis in just 1 month because of low patronage of its short-term securities. That is the 91-day, the 182-day and the 1-year note. Government, through the central bank, targeted to raise over 7.4 billion cedis from these instruments, but only got 4.1 billion cedis between March 25 and April 22 this year, a shortfall of over 44%. This is coming at a time that government intends to borrow 75% of the gap between its revenue and expenditure from the domestic market. Missing out on over 3.3 billion cedis in just 5 treasury bill auctions could significantly worry government's spending plan in an already tight year. Now let's move to some utilities. The Electricity Company of Ghana continues to lose in excess of 1.3 billion cedis annually to illegal connections owing to the non-criminalization of power theft. What should have accompanied such illegality, including imprisonment and other deterrent sanctions, only seeks recovery of funds from culprits. This, the Public Utilities and Regulatory Commission finds worrying. According to its Director of Regional Operations, Alhaji Abubakar Jabaru, it is not too late for the framers of the law to criminalize such acts. And that's it for business. Marina.
It's just fair we have some of these things being part of the criminal code, because it's becoming a burden within the society. And what Ghanaians don't know is that whatever they are stealing, we end up paying for it one way or the other. It might not be through the race, but governments will end up has to inject money into the utility because he's a shareholder. And government is me and you. It is on to all of us to come together and see how that is nipping the bud. And that includes sanctioning corporates that they get. But as it is now, the only thing they can do is to recover and add a penalty. That is maybe in terms of money, how much you can add onto it, administrative charges and those things. And once the person has the money to pay, he is free to go.
The Director of Regional Operations of the PURC, Alhaji Abubakar Jabaru, ending that report. And that's it for Business on Hot Edition. My name is Nancy Vokania Minor.
Many thanks, Nancy. We're the very latest from the world of business. Now, the Student Loan Trust Fund will commence negotiations with students who were affected by the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology's deferment process. This comes after government, through the Ministry of Education, directed the fund to amend its processes to help the deferred student meet the new deadline. There's more in this report.
Following the deferment of 6,000 students at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, the Education Minister asks that the Student Loan Trust Fund help these students pay their fees in order for them to continue with their education. But information reaching me from the fund is that over 3,000 of these students have already found ways of paying their fees, leaving the number of students who are caught in this web to about 2,000 and over. However, out of the remaining students, some 1,400 of them, according to the fund, had already applied for the student's loan and hence will be catered for. But the fund will be visiting the university on the 26th of April 2021 to arrange with the remaining students on whether or not they are willing to apply for the student's loan. Judith Awachitando, TV3 News, Accra.
So, Judith, with the inside scoop on what is happening following that directive from the Education Minister. But not so great news for the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, because authorities there want the police to expedite investigation and unravel the circumstances that led to the untimely death of a level 200 student of the university. The death of Kweku Edujemfi has come as a huge blow to management and the entire student body. Ibrahim Abubakar has more in this report.
The management of KNUST has assured family of a 21-year-old level 200 biomedical sciences student who was allegedly murdered by his friend at Sewia on Friday, April 22. Well, even though the incident did not occur on campus, management says it is ready to assist with any information that will lead to justice. Dr. Daniel Norris Bequin is the university's relations officer.
We can confirm that yes, he was our student, and management has reached out to the parent and extended our deepest condolences to the parent. We want to assure them that whatever we need to do to support them in this trying moment, we will do so. The incident did not occur on campus, but we are deeply concerned about some of these acts, and the police have to act swiftly and then bring whoever did this, committed this heinous crime to justice.
Dr. Norris Bequin, University Relations Officer of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, ending that report by Ibrahim Abubakar. Log on to 3news.com. As always, for a lot more news, I am Eric Mawina Egbeta. A pleasure having you do the listening this evening.